Hello and welcome to Albuquerque Business Review. I'm your host, Tony DellaFlora. The intersection of Broadway Boulevard and Central Avenue is the symbolic heart of Albuquerque, the point that divides the city into its quadrants. Now it's poised to become the heart of the city's entrepreneurial revolution. Builders will break ground this summer on the initial phase of the Innovate Albuquerque campus, located on the northwest corner of that intersection. With me today to discuss plans for the site are architect Dale Dekker of Dekker, Perich, Sabatini, and Jason Perry of Signet Development. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, especially you, Jason. Thanks for coming all the way here for this. I really do appreciate it. Dale, before we get into the construction part of this and what it's going to look like, let's talk a little history about this. What was the city and the university envisioning when the idea for this project came up?
Well, I think what the city and the university, as well as the county and the other partners involved in the project, saw was this movement across the country where Tier 1 research universities like the University of New Mexico and the cities were coming together to focus on innovation and entrepreneurship as a driver for their future education system, economic development, and those kinds of things. So this was a natural progression. There's some good national models that are out there that are operating very successfully. And quite frankly, our city and our community stepped up and is on the front edge of this wave moving forward.
Yeah. Now, and again, the idea wasn't going to be a standalone project. We talked before about the ecosystem. Explain how that works, how that integrates.
Well, the whole notion of an ecosystem is because of kind of the focus and the density that gets created around these projects that are live, work, learn, play, invent, and the entrepreneurs come together. It attracts companies and businesses that really support and thrive off of those activities. So just in our district, within walking distance, we have Verge, Bill Bice's operation, ABQ ID. We have Fat Pipe, which Stu Rose has in the old Albuquerque High School. Library, La Vue is across the track, starting up, and the Stimulus Center, the CNM has built at the Galleria. That starts to create this interesting menu of players that creates a very interesting place for people, entrepreneurs, and innovators to go.
Yeah. Well, Jason, your company obviously has worked on projects like this all over the country, but I'm assuming this ecosystem idea is really one of the keys to making one of these projects successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've seen over the last several years is that this trend to break down the barriers between the business community and the research community and create a place where those interests are aligned so that the business community can readily access the research coming out of colleges and universities, and the universities get to participate, as Dale mentioned, in the economic development of their city and their community.
Right. Okay. Well, when are we going to talk about, when are we going to be breaking ground here? How soon is that going to happen?
Well, the plan right now is to break ground in June and to deliver what we're calling the Phase 1 building in the fall of 2018.
Okay.
We have 17, sorry.
Yep, sure.
Good correction there. I feel like it should be 2018, but we're working hard enough on it.
Push it.
And fortunately, we have a good group of local players. Janes is the construction company we're working with, and local subs. So the delivery mechanism is in place. We're getting great cooperation out of the city and the other players that kind of control the pace of development in our community. So we're optimistic that we're going to move this thing forward and get it online as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Paint us a little picture. What's this going to look like? What exactly is going to be going up on that property?
Well, the first phase project really is utilizing the existing First Baptist Church sanctuary and a portion of the education building that was built in the mid-'70s. It's kind of the anchor. But our building, which we're constructing and working on now with Signet and Goodman Realty, is going to consist of ground floor office space that's going to accommodate the Innovation Academy, the UNM Innovation Academy, STC, the Science and Technology Development arm of the University of New Mexico, is also going to locate on the ground floor. There'll be amenities for the residential units up above. And when we describe the residential units up above, they're student-style apartments, 2 bedroom, 2 baths, highly amenitized units, and there's going to be 155 units, so there'll be 310 beds total, primarily focused on juniors, seniors, and graduate level students that really want to be in that kind of urban, active environment that
Right.
this is at.
Right. So again, that's going to be the new construction there?
That's correct.
And what happens with the old church building? What's for the plans
Well,
for that?
interestingly enough, we have to work with the State Historic Preservation Office on the old historic sanctuary portion relative to what uses and how we redesign that. But, clearly the exterior appearance of the sanctuary will stay as is. Okay. But we're kind of in the process of figuring out what is the best way to reposition that building and what would the best tenants look like. But our hunch is that, again, it'll be those companies that also want to participate in building up the ecosystem that is attracted by the human capital that the students represent and the access to talent that companies might want to have by being close to the Innovation Academy, STC, the like.
And you had, I think, had mentioned before that they'll be holding classes at the Academy, if all goes well, by fall of 2017. Is that right?
That's correct, and they're actually holding classes now on campus. So
great.
Rob Del Campo is running that program now. It's been very, very successful. There's, I think they anticipated like 70 students to participate in this program. They got well over 200, and they're expecting to go to 300. So there's students out there yearning for these kinds of entrepreneurial, experiential kind of opportunities, and the university is dealing with it. So we've got a great anchor with the Innovation Academy in this building.
Yeah. Well, Jason, again, your company is so experienced in doing this type of thing. Again, is being affiliated with the university another key to, would you do it without a university?
The university
or does that make it easier?
It doesn't make it easier. I think what the university brings is that research component. And as Dale just mentioned, that they bring the student talent that a lot of these companies are looking to get close to. So in our experience, we've seen where companies are looking to cluster next to these college and university research places of research so that they can obviously be close to the talent, utilize that student talent, and then obviously be close to the research as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course the other player in this is the private sector.
Right.
How does that fit into your overall plan? When you're looking at one of these projects, explain kind of where that fits in.
Yeah, the way the innovation districts traditionally get developed is that there's an anchor project, there's an attractor, and that's what this initial project really is the purpose of. As Dale mentioned, we have a large student population there, and these are students that are in the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Academy at the university. So they're very bright students, they're on the entrepreneurial track. And then you couple that with the research component of STC, Air Force Research Labs, Innovation Academy, and the like. That's an attractor for those private businesses. So this is the first step in the process to start attracting private business to the site. That's going to help create that ecosystem that we talked about.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And getting back to the actual site again, we were talking a couple days ago. It's going to be very pedestrian oriented,
Right.
and I'm sure is that something you build into most of these types of projects, and why is that important?
Yeah, I think certainly the trend is, if you look at most innovation districts across the country, they're very urban in nature. That's where the younger population wants to be, the millennial generation, the Generation Z, they all want to be in these urban clusters. They want to be able to walk, they want to leave their car, and they want everything to be right there in close proximity. So the urbanization of this is a very important component of this project.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, right across the railroad tracks, there's plans for an entertainment district. I know that's not part of the first phase, but where does that fit in to the overall plan?
Well, I think it'll kind of add to the amenity base that's already developing downtown. If you look at what they're proposing is, entertainment facilities, restaurants, pubs, brew pubs, those kinds of things, in addition to some housing. They are going to provide parking, which is needed downtown, which we can probably
Never enough of
tap
that,
into.
that's for sure.
But I think what we're also looking at is how do we connect the east to the west? And so we're actively looking at at-grade railroad crossings to get pedestrians from one side of downtown to the other side. But what Jason says relative to the urban environment is critical, because when you put that many students in one place, plus the 50 to 100 workers that'll be in the initial phase occupying sanctuary office space, you start to create this critical mass. And it's already in place to some extent with Old Albuquerque High, 161 units there. It's just going to become that much more robust and that much more of a great place to live, work, and be an entrepreneur and innovate, which is what we're looking for.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, speaking of transportation, without wading too far into the ART project, but how is that going to help this project?
Well, it is a connector. It's the east-west connector. It connects Innovate ABQ to the University Nob Hill to the east. With the frequency 7-minute headways, it's really going to provide that vital link back to the university, and it works both ways. It'll be able to bring students from main campus down to Innovate to programs and things that are occurring there. But it also, it connects us to our cultural and quality of life amenities to the west through downtown. So it really is a vital part of the infrastructure as our city goes into the 21st century and has to deal with a lot of these urban issues that cities are having to deal with, especially in regards to transportation.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you from a big picture viewpoint. We've had really mixed economic development news in the last couple of years and everything. How important do you think this project in particular is to Albuquerque's overall economic well-being? Where do you put this?
Well, I put it out there is we're planting seeds right now. This is a long-term strategy, but it could have some quick-hitting payback. Who could speculate that Bill Gates in the early 70s was in Albuquerque trying and inventing the first personal computer that ultimately led to a personal wealth for Bill Gates of over $80 billion, creating 12,000 multimillionaires and 4 other billionaires.
Right.
Think about what a different place Albuquerque would be. So that's the Grand Slam home run World Series, but there's a lot of singles out there that we can get with just bright, creative students and companies that would come to Albuquerque to have access to that human capital and that talent. So I think those are the immediate things, and putting a focus on that really gives business a reason to invest in students, invest in programs, invest in what we're doing here in our community. So I think it's very important.
And to piggyback on that too, I think that the way we've always approached this and is really a two-pronged approach. It is trying to attract businesses from outside the state and get them to Albuquerque, but also very importantly is to grow businesses organically.
Right.
So setting this stage, setting up the right environment, setting up those resources that students and young entrepreneurs have those resources to develop their own product, find capital for their product, advance their product moving forward, and at the same time try to attract from the outside in, but also grow it organically at the site as well.
Yeah. Well, Jason, one of the big question I had for you is I'm interested in your perspective from an outsider. Dale knows the long economic development history and fits and starts with projects like this and technology transfer. Nothing's ever quite panned out.
Right.
Why do you think this is going to work this time? I guess what faith do you have in this?
Well, we've just seen it work elsewhere in other places that we worked at the University of Florida and others that when you put this environment in place, it does work. We developed a similar project at the University of Florida, which delivered a little over a year ago. And we've already seen student businesses emerge based on this environment. And we've seen businesses start to become attracted to these innovation districts because of the students that are there and the research that's going on. So it's a proven business model, not just the ones that Signet's worked on, but others around the country that have seen these types of projects evolve, and they've all been very successful once they put the right pieces in place.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, and I know you're counting on this thing working.
Well, this is it. This is the future, and I think we're skating to where the puck is, to use an old Wayne Gretzky saying, and that's there's great opportunity here for our community.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. Dale Dekker of Dekker, Perich, Sabatini, and Jason Perry of Signet. Appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and talk about this, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again in the future as this moves along.
Great.
Well, so
thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Sure.
Great.
And thank you for joining us on Albuquerque Business Review, and we'll see you next time.